The Indiana Hoosiers pick off Carson Beck to seal the national championship for the first time in program history. Oh my gosh, what a game. Another season of college football has come to a close, and that was a fantastic one to end on. A little bit shaky in the first half, but some good defensive showings on things, some missed calls, some controversial decisions, but 10-0 at halftime, ending up 27-21 in the end. That's a good game. Great offense and great defense from both teams. That the Miami Hurricanes demonstrated that, yes, absolutely, they deserved to be in the playoffs this season. And the Indiana Hoosiers demonstrated probably the best 2-year turnaround that's possible. I mean, it was either 2 years ago or the year before that they were the losingest program in Power 4, in at least Power 4, if not Division 1 football, like historically. And then they come back and win the national title just a few years later. I don't know about those no calls. I think I kind of agree with most of the things that actually happened on the field. I think there was a little bit more letting them play than they really should have. But Miami got penalized more than Indiana did. Even without the no calls that happened. Even if those calls happened, it didn't change the game. It could have changed the game, but it didn't change the outcome. It wouldn't have changed the outcome. Indiana's lead just might have been a little bit larger. But yeah, I tip my hat off to the Indiana Hoosiers that Mendoza demonstrated exactly why he's the Heisman this year. That running touchdown to put them ahead on 4th and 5. First of all, going for it on 4th and 5, I'm like, what are you doing? And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, if you go up by 6, a touchdown gives them the lead. Yeah, you might as well just be down by 3 in that case. So, in that situation, 3 is basically the same as 6. So, yeah, go for it. And Mendoza got that running touchdown and put them ahead by 10 again. And the Hurricanes answered and held, not only scored a touchdown, but held Indiana to a field goal. If you went for it earlier on, I don't know why you don't go for it in that case. I think you were closer to the end zone on the second try. No, they were further away on the second try. So, okay, go for the field goal and stuff. So, to make sure that they have to get a touchdown to have a prayer. And the extra point, by the way. But then, the first interception of the game is the game sealer. No interceptions by either team. And one thing that was pointed out is that the Indiana Hoosiers haven't given up a fumble in a while. I didn't see the exact number, but I think it's more than 3,000 plays they've run without fumbling the ball, without giving up a fumble to the other team. And then, some other thoughts on this. Carson Beck not going up to shake anybody else's hands at the end of this. Very classy, my guy. Very classy. You demonstrated the difference between you and Mendoza. I don't respect that. I don't respect that at all. I was actually kind of hoping Miami would win this because the 3 years in a row of the Big Ten winning the championship, it kind of aggravates the supremacy of the top 2 conferences in college football. But the fact that we now have a third different team from the Big Ten win the national title this year is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And it was from a program that never won it at all. Good job with this coach. A good job with calling out the refs. I know that's difficult to do, and you could get in trouble for that But we got to be able to call it the refs. Got to be able to call it the refs. Don't necessarily know if I agree with all of the things that he was saying, but you got to be able to call the refs out. There has to be some accountability for refs. And then all of those players on Miami did everything they could to stay in this game. It's just pick at the end sealed it. Me and my brother were texting throughout the game because he lives in Texas right now, and we were talking about that missed field goal. And by the way, on the previous touchdown, they doinked it in. I haven't seen a doink succeed on the extra point attempt before. I don't remember, but yeah, Indiana doinked it in to get a successful extra point conversion. So that's crazy too. But on the missed field goal from Miami, there was a lot of ramifications and stuff. Like even on that last drive, if they had gotten a field goal, they only needed a field goal to tie it, and so that would have changed the nature of the game. But there still probably would have been a throwing play with where they were on the field, and that doesn't necessarily change if there would have been an interception or not, because he didn't go for the end zone on that play. He threw to an open guy, yeah, and then was picked off. So whether you're up by 6 or by 3, that field goal ended up not mattering. Those extra 3 points ended up not mattering. So I find that good because that kicker is probably not going to have that on his conscience forever, because that doesn't exorbitantly change the nature of the game. It would have changed a few things, but it doesn't drastically change it. Now, Tennessee's kicker, on the other hand, I think me and my brother agree. I think everyone's season would have been different had Tennessee's kicker landed that field goal at the end of the Georgia game, and then it resulted in them eventually losing the game. But yeah, going on to, man, I didn't have a script prepared because I just wanted to give my instant, immediate reaction to all this. But Mendoza, I respect you, and you're excellent, and I hope you do great things in the NFL. Carson Beck, I'm really disappointed in you, my guy. Really super disappointed. Yeah, I don't know what more to say to that. But hopefully you throw away that attitude just a little bit. Just the last little thing, with that unsportsmanlike penalty cutting it to the 2.5-yard line, there was still a chance that they could have accidentally safetied it on their kneel, and then they would have given Miami the ball back with like 20 seconds left. But good on Mendoza for having the awareness of where you need to be. And then I was like, well, they're on the half-yard line at this point. Do you just run it out of the back of the end zone? No, he took it and he dove forward as much as he could. So excellent field awareness for Mendoza on that last bit of the game. So kind of a brief autopsy of the season. What does this look like? One reason why I wanted Miami to win is because having conferences have consecutive winning streaks in the national championship, it doesn't really feel like it's going to be good for the sport. It is good for the sport that a team won it for the first time in program history, and that is good. And it would have also been good had an ACC team won it, because everyone was counting the ACC out of the playoffs completely when Duke won the championship game. They're like, oh, the ACC is not going to have any representation at all in the college football playoffs. Now, with how good Miami did, that kind of validates the controversial decision stuff about getting them in or not. But with how everything ended up, I'm kind of okay with that, because Miami demonstrated that they are a good team. And you know what? If you would have scored in the first half, we might be going to overtime right now. But yeah, too bad. But now we have the Big Ten as the quite clearly the top conference in college football. And below that, I would have to say probably the ACC is next. And then I definitely am putting the Big 12 in third place of Power 4 play. And I am putting the SEC in last. And yes, I am biased a little bit because I'm an SEC hater. I'm transforming into a Big Ten hater also. But there's just a lot more propaganda on the SEC side than the Big Ten side. Mostly the Big Ten ridiculousness is with the Ohio State University and all that kind of ridiculous nonsense. But in the SEC, it's most of the conference. It's just like, oh, we are the SEC and therefore we are better because it just means more until you win one bowl game and win one playoff game that isn't against other teams of yours because the committee had to put in 5 teams and the team you beat was not even a Power 4 team. Now, anybody in the comments is going to be like, well, Texas Tech got blown out by... Yeah, Texas Tech got blown out by Indiana, by the way. And so did Alabama, by the way. And so did Oregon. So, yeah. Texas Tech is the only team that didn't score any points in any part of the playoffs this season. And that is a black mark on the Big 12. But that's why I put the Big 12 below the ACC. ACC did really, really well in the postseason. And the Big 12 did mostly good in the postseason. The SEC embarrassed themselves this season in the bowls and in the playoffs. I think that if this nonsense with Sharon Moore didn't happen, the SEC might not have gotten a single bowl win. Might not have won a single bowl game. Would have gone winless in bowl season. I think the only reason they beat Michigan is because Michigan was in a tailspin of drama and lawsuits and covering possibly covering up this coach's activity for as long as they did. But yeah, I saw this last SEC Shorts video where they were talking about Ole Miss just not being able to get it done and get to that championship game. And then someone said, we're the third best team in college football. I'm like, third? How could you possibly be putting yourself at third? How? What is the argument in favor of the SEC this year? And last year, by the way, where they only got 3 teams in. The SEC, for the 3rd year in a row, doesn't even have a team participating in the national title game. And then all these people are like, oh, they played the SEC in the regular season. They were gassed by the time the bowl season happened. Dude, you had a month off. You had a month off between the end of the regular season and bowl season. If you didn't lick your wounds and rest up and all this kinds of stuff, just like every other conference did, by the way, and then show up and win, then I can't call you the best conference in college football. I can't. And until further notice, it just means more will always be followed by excuses. The SEC, it just means more excuses. And hopefully, next season, we once again will not have an SEC team in the championship game. So that we will get to a point where we celebrate the teams that do well and celebrate the conferences that do well instead of trying to come up with all of these magical excuses why the SEC deserves our eyes and our respect and all this kind of stuff. You got to earn it on the field. You got to earn it on the field. You got to beat your opponents, and you got to show up in the moments that matter. You can't go for it on fourth down when you could kick a field goal to tie and then lose the game. You can't miss game-winning field goals and change the scope of college football. You can't do that. You can't lose every bowl game except for one. Yeah. So there's that. But there's a lot more to talk about with college sports, and now we're getting on to the playoffs. I think I'll be covering the playoffs of the NFL a little bit more than I have, and I'll get more into college basketball coverage now that we're halfway through that season. I've been taking a bit of a hiatus from videos. I've only put out one every so often, just because various reasons. But yeah, if you like my takes, please let me know. If you want to hear more from me, please like, share, and subscribe. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I want to hear what I'm missing with my takes, where I'm getting wrong, what takes you find ridiculous, and why. Because I want to learn about college football. I want to learn about college sports. I want to learn about sports in general. Because I love sports. I was never really able to excel in sports. I played lacrosse in middle school, but I wasn't able to excel in any athletic activity. So being able to see people demonstrate these feats of athleticism that are spectacular, it brings me joy. So if you like this video, please leave a like. If you want more, please subscribe to the channel and help me get to monetization, and leave some comments and stuff, because I'd like to know what I could do to make this channel better, or make my takes better, or what I'm wrong about. Unless it's about the SEC. I'm never wrong about the SEC. Anyways, help this newbie no longer be a newbie. And this has been, for the last time this college football season, Newbie Sports.